Many features of Renoise and Redux are only made possible by taking advantage of the fact that you're using a computer to create music. However, just like the oldest tracker programs, Renoise and Redux still use the traditional 12-note Western scale used for acoustic instruments. As you'd expect though, there are options to control how this works. If you're unfamiliar with scales, the concept is actually very simple. The standard chromatic scale allows the use of all 12 notes in an octave. Selecting another scale restricts what notes can be played when using this instrument. A transparent red overlay is placed on the notes that you can play, though you may see a different colour depending on the current interface theme. If you try to play a note other than the ones highlighted, then the nearest highlighted note below it will be played instead. In the pattern editor, this affects the recording of notes as well. There are 35 different scales, each with a different pattern of available notes. The most common scales, natural, major and minor, have 7 notes, with the others ranging from 5 up to 9. Creating melodies and harmonies within the various types of scales can be used to generally guide them towards a certain feeling or character. Happy, sad, mysterious, religious, etc. Though this can of course be subjective. The key option changes which note the scaling pattern starts at. Unless your instruments have been transposed to different pitches, you'll normally have them all playing within the same key. Mixing together a variety of keys or scales could certainly create some interesting music. As would applying a scale to existing melodies that don't currently conform to one, because remember, any notes restricted by the scale are forced to play within it. This only applies to the phrase editor and works per sample or slice. For example, this sliced Amen break plays normally because it runs through different samples. And likewise, existing notes in the pattern editor are not scaled until you create a phrase and have the notes playing from there. In Renoise, scale and key are also available in the instrument properties section that can be opened up and customized under the instrument selector. This provides you with easy access to these options while using the pattern editor or mixer. Changing the scale and key options affects all of the sample, plugin and MIDI components contained within that Renoise instrument. See the Introduction to Instruments video if you're unsure how all of this fits together. The changes can be automated using the CC numbers 14 and 15, but there is a restriction here. Plugin and MIDI instruments can have their own custom scaling techniques. So if a Renoise instrument contains either of those, then the MIDI messages will be directed there instead of changing the scaling settings of the Renoise instrument. This means that any samples in the instrument will be unaffected. However, if the instrument is purely sample based, then automating the scale and key via their CAC numbers will adjust those parameters in the instrument properties. Something to keep in mind is that notes are merely representations of their corresponding pitch. This doesn't always line up though, such as through transposition, certain effects creating unpredictable tunings, multiple key zones being used for odd pitches, or key zones that feature entirely different sounds, such as in drum kits. Applying a scale in these situations is going to create some odd results. There are two other situations that you need to be aware of with regards to scaling. The first is when a sample has been sliced and you're using different notes to trigger different slices. Applying a scale is going to change what slices will be played because the notes are being restricted. In the same manner, this affects the triggering of phrases in Renoise when using key map mode. And remember, regardless of whether you're using key map or program mode, any played phrase is also going to have the selected scale and key applied to it.